shaping how our 2015 will look when we together will define the new risk management framework for 2015 to, as I hope, 2045, but that's not for me to decide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wallström. We all value what the UN is doing for helping governments and civil societies, and I think this consultation for post-2015 framework for reducing disaster is very important. So thank you once again for coming here. And now I will give the floor to our colleague, Gay Mitchell, for 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank the Commissioner and Assistant Secretary General Wallström for being with us today. The fact that we have both here together in the Development Committee presents a great opportunity to discuss how the Commission and Parliament and the UN are addressing disaster risk reduction and resilience, and I hope it will lead to greater collaboration between the 3 political institutions of the Union. In the Parliament, a report on DRR and resilience, of which I am the rapporteur, will be presented to the Development Committee next month. So, straight up, the question, what should be the priority of that report? Tell us what you think should be the priority of that report. The report aims to demonstrate that significant savings can be made if further investment in DRR and resilience initiatives are advanced, and stresses that DRR should be prioritised in future development programming. In times of financial consolidation, there is a significant need to use resources more efficiently, effectively and economically. Commissioner Wallström, or Secretary General Wallström, has mentioned China. And one example of success in China, which invested $3.15 billion in flood control between 1960 and 2000, is that they estimate that it averted losses of $12 billion. So they quadrupled their investment. But think of all the lives that were saved. That's the most important part. They saved $9 billion by investing $3 billion, and all of those lives, and the economic disruption and all that went with it. So what's good about DRR and resilience building is that it is proactive, not reactive. And yes, it may take the sort of time scale that has been mentioned, but every long march starts with the first step, and a lot of steps have so far been taken. The report also intends to follow up on the recently published Commission Action Plan for Resilience in Crisis-Prone Countries from 2013 to 2020. We need to make sure that the proposals and priorities in the Action Plan are implemented so as to ensure that consistent progress is made on achieving the objectives. It's crucial that the EU and its Member States better coordinate their development and humanitarian activities and work together more coherently to ensure that DRR and resilience strategies are efficient and make a real impact in communities. Increased coordination between donors is something we are also due to consider this week. This is absolutely essential. We are wasting money at a time when we are talking about austerity in the Member States. This report, we won't go into it today but because it deals with another matter, we'll be considering it tomorrow. We can't continue to spend money like that. That spending translates into lives lost, that misuse of spending. So we really need to get that increased coordination between donors in the post-crisis situations and in resilience building on the move. We need to ensure that we act on DRR strategies with a long-term perspective, as has been said. We cannot expect it's a bit like some of the criticism of the consolidation things. People are saying, oh, it's not working. You plant the seed, you don't look out the next day and see the rose bush. We have to nurture it and develop it. Also, Chairperson, in our modern globalised world, we've interconnected supply chain, which means that economic losses sustained from a disaster in one region can have global reverberations. For example, it's estimated that the 2011 floods in Thailand set back global industrial production by 2.5%. It's extraordinary. That is an extraordinary figure. Therefore, everyone is concerned when it comes to disasters, and we need to foster improved cooperation between international institutions, governments, civil societies and local authorities when addressing disaster risk. We also must recognise long-term progress can only be made if underlying factors which make communities or individuals more vulnerable, such as poor environmental management, inadequate infrastructure, land degradation and poor town and city planning are addressed. We must also realise that while the EU and other international organisations can make progress on DRR and resilience in developing countries through its programmes, it is the primary responsibility of national governments to ensure the safety of its citizens, and therefore partner countries need to have strong political commitment to support and implement activities which enhance resilience and DRR. And lastly, Chairperson, looking forward, there needs to be a strong approach to DRR and resilience in the post-2015 agenda, as both the Commissioner and Assistant Secretary-General have said. And we must note that the Hyogo Framework for Action, which expires in 2015, has made significant progress in strengthening institutional and legislative arrangements, but it is important that DRR and resilience policies are mainstreamed, as has been said here today. And I think there isn't any ideological problem with this. This is something we should all be able to work on together, both in the committee, in Parliament, and between the institutions and between the EU and the UN. I really think this meeting today could be a very important meeting for building the momentum. And I think it's important for those of us who are going to the UN meeting next week that when we have the opportunity of exchange with other parliamentarians and public servants, that we always mention the DRR issue. Every political agenda is constantly full. It's never, so we've got to keep this on the agenda. If we don't mention this, some other issue will be mentioned. And I think we need to take the opportunity of that visit to always mention DRR and resilience. So thank you, and I hope you might be able to suggest to us where our priorities should focus in the report, which we will be considering shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell. I'm sure we'll have in October a very interesting debate on your report. So now, Mr. Berman for questions and answers.
A bit embarrassed because Gay has said it all. And thank you for that. Madam Commissioner, Ms. Wallström, thank you very much for coming here. I think it's very important you give us all this information and this energy that you transmit. I have 3 questions.